LEDs use between a sixth and a tenth of the electricity for the same light output as halogens. So if you switch, you have the potential to save lots of electricity, lots of money, and help save the planet as well. So this is a quick overview of transition baths try before you buy LED kit. The kit comes in a box, and inside the box there is a lot of detailed documentation, a lot more than I'm covering here, with about 40 different LEDs in two trays. There's a top tray and a bottom tray. And this kit is available from Bath Central Library. You need to phone them up because it's in their special loan connection, so it can't be booked online. You need to take your library card in, and you can borrow it for a week. Just a little word of warning, make sure you're able to carry it home. It's relatively heavy, it weighs about 9 kilograms or 20 pounds. I'm very happy carrying it reasonable distances, but you might find it a little bit heavy. The idea behind the kit is that you will be able to try these individual bulbs and find one that you like. The way this grid is arranged is with bulbs of different colours going in this direction and bulbs of different beam angles, how wide the beam coming out of the bulb is, in this direction. At this end of the grid there are more yellow bulbs, and at this end there are more natural bulbs. And on this left hand end there are narrow beam angle bulbs, and on this end there are much broader spectrum bulbs. And it's really down to you and how you're going to use the lights and your colour preferences which of these bulbs you pick. The difficulty with LEDs is they come in a much wider variety of colours and beam angles and other such criteria which you don't get with halogen bulbs. Halogen bulbs really just come in one format. The LED technology has developed to a point where it's as good or better than halogen technology, and it's a lot more efficient. So there's no reason why you shouldn't swap. The first thing you need to do is determine what type of LED you've got. There are two types in this kit. There's the mains powered bulbs, which have a knurled connector on the back like this. And then there's the DC powered bulbs, which have pointy connectors like this. What you need to do is go to your light fitment and remove one of the bulbs. Now, the first thing you do when you remove the bulb is make sure the lighting is turned off so you don't electrocute yourself. If you've got halogens, then make sure the lighting's turned off for at least 10 minutes because they can be very hot. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to turn the lighting off. I know these lights are safe, but don't do this at home. So you go to your light fitment and pick one which you can remove. This is, I've just removed, and by looking at this connector at the knurled end, I know it's a GU10 bulb, so one of these. So I've removed my bulb, and then I'm going to decide what bulb I'm looking for. Now, because this is in the middle of the room, I've decided I want quite a broad beam angle, so this is this end of the spectrum. And because it's a kitchen, I would prefer a blue light, because blue lights are sort of generally for more active zones. So I've just picked a sort of mid-range blue-white bulb with about a 60-degree beam angle, so that's slightly wider than the 38 degrees you would get with a halogen. I then take this bulb, just put the bulb back into the light fitting and compare the lights. So for example, this one, which is a natural daylight with quite a broad beam, is quite different from this bulb here, which is a much yellower bulb, and this light here, which is actually very narrow angle bulb, which is much better for work surfaces. Maybe I've decided that's too broad a beam angle, so I will then pick a bulb slightly further back in this range. Now we decided on what colour and beam angle we like, there are a few other criteria just to think about. The first one being the depth of the bulb. Some of these LED bulbs are quite a bit deeper than the traditional halogens. The halogens are about 50 millimetres. Some of the LEDs go up to 85. You need to make sure that you've got space in your light fitment for these bulbs. The traditional recessed light fittings, which look a bit like this, imagine this is in your ceiling, generally have a loose connector in them, so they allow quite a bit of space for different length bulbs, but you need to check. The most tricky area of LEDs is dealing with dimmers and transformers. and you just need to try bulbs for that. A lot of LEDs aren't compatible with traditional dimmers, so what you've got to do is try them. Try the bulb, move the control up and down, see what happens. If it doesn't work, try another bulb in the same sort of colour beam angle area. If you get really stuck, contact Transition Bath. You might need to change your dimmer switch to an LED compatible dimmer switch like this. Switch the circuit off at the mains, make sure it's switched off, and then try rewiring. We've provided one example if you want to try it in with the kit. It's about 5 minutes to wire and unwire a socket. Basically you're replacing 3 wires at the back. If you look online, we have a video which explains how to do this. And generally it's a daytime job because you need natural light to be able to see what you're doing, but it's a very easy job. And if you've got any concerns, just contact us, LED Lighting, at transitionbath.org. The second and probably most difficult issue is with this type of bulb, whether they're compatible with your transformers. And the transformers normally live in the ceiling void and look a bit like this. And with both the dimmers and the transformers, the effect of them being incompatible is generally the lights will flicker. If they do flicker, try a different light. Worst case scenario, you're going to have to replace either the transformer or the dimmer. The most expensive solution is just to unwire the older transformer and wire in a LED compatible transformer. My general advice is not to do that because it's quite an expensive route. The other alternative is to just switch from having an MR16 based lighting circuit to a GU10, the mains based lighting circuit. So what you want to do is unwire this bit of the circuit where it's got the mains coming in and put one of these GU10 sockets in, which are quite cheap, they only cost about £1, and wire that straight through to the socket here. Now if you're going to do that, contact us and we'll provide advice, because there are some sort of special cases, for example in bathrooms, where you need to be a little bit careful. But our general advice is if you struggle with the transformers, aim to rewire your circuits in the roof space. The only other thing that you need to also check with these MR16s is, do you get interference from your DAB radio? Additionally in the kit you've got an adapter for the GU10 bulbs, so rather than going up and having to fiddle around in your ceiling, you can try the bulbs out at ground level. The light meter in this kit can be used to check whether your room is either under or over lit. General recommendations are between 200 and 400 lux. If you look at this, for example, I have around 500 lux, which suggests this workspace is probably overly lit, and therefore my replacement LEDs might not need to be as bright. So every bulb is numbered. This bulb, for example, is number 1, and to help future users of the kit, could you put the bulb back in its correct slot, which is labelled here. This number is also useful because this is how you find how to buy it on our website. It is also how it is indexed in the documentation. So if I'm interested in bulb 1, I can look up the documentation. It tells me all the attributes of this particular bulb. When you finish with it, make sure you put all these bulbs back in very carefully. Some of the longer bulbs have sort of special holes. They're numbered, so put them back in the right numbers. And if you could put the kit back very carefully so that this layer is sitting upwards and all 5 bits of documentation, they're labelled 1 through 5, are back in. Shut the box up and take it back to the library. It would be great if you could minimise how long you have the kit booked out for. Officially the maximum is 1 week, but if you can get away with a couple of evenings booking it, then that means a lot more people can use the kit, and we think there's going to be a lot of demand initially. And finally, purchasing. If you go to the Transition Bath website, transitionbath.org/LED buy, there's a link to the vendor's website. Now we recommend online vendors because they provide a good service, good advice. Their bulbs are good quality. They generally come with a 5-year guarantee. They're good value, and they're generally better than the ones you get at local do-it-yourself stores, and they generally meet the spec they say on the site, which is, we've discovered with eBay bulbs that quite often their brightness is a lot lower than they say. So also, if you go via our website, we get a 10% cut one way or the other, which will help us pay for this kit. If you've got any questions, just contact us on our email address.